Hey guys, this is Samuel from Crysis, and today we're going to be doing a red box impressions on Crysis 3. Now, I loved Crysis 2. I sunk about 50 or 60 hours into that game. I beat it and got like halfway through it again on the hardest difficulty. And I played at least 10 hours of multiplayer. It was a blast. I thought it was an incredibly well done game. And when Crysis 3 came out, it kind of came out of nowhere. No one really talked about it, and when I played the demo, it just seemed to be incredibly similar to the second game. And I kind of got the bad taste in my mouth after playing the demo for a couple weeks on PlayStation Network that I shouldn't pick it up because it just seemed so similar to the second game to the point where it just seemed like it was completely phoned in. However, I saw tons of positive reviews, and everyone on YouTube was playing it, and I'm like, wow, maybe there's something to this game I'm missing. So I decided to go on to Redbox and decided to drop like $4 and rent it for a couple days. And my first suspicions were not wrong. It's a completely phoned-in game. Everything about this game screams limited budget, limited development time, and apathy on behalf of the developers. Crysis 2, I thought, had some lazy packaging and lazy things like that because, you know, they used the cover not only for the game, not only for the manual and the menu, and the disc, but they also used it on the menu on the Xbox 360. But Crysis 3 takes that to a whole nother level. The amount of laziness in Crysis 3 is kind of unreal. It even has the same image preview on the Xbox 360 as Crysis 2 did. As you can see, that was Crysis 2. Now I'll be entering in Crysis 3 Hunter Edition. And come on now. Ta-da! Same New York backdrop, even though in this game New York's a dystopia jungle and looks completely differently. But, you know, who cares, right? It's just another shelled out sequel. Incredibly minor thing to complain about. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. However, it's reflective of the entire game as an experience. The menus look and feel the same. They're virtually identical to Crysis 2. And not only that, but the HUD feels the same, the world looks the same. It takes place in the same area for Christ's sake. And the only difference is let's add plant vegetation everywhere. There are some new elements of the game that are kind of interesting, like running through the grass and hiding and just doing all that stuff. But this game even punishes you for not playing the tutorial. There's a 20-point achievement for completing the tutorial. And to put that in perspective, the first 2 levels of the game are only 15-point achievements. So you actually are more rewarded for doing a tutorial. You're more rewarded for being a new player than you are for being an old player. I don't know, everything about this game screams that Crytek is focusing more on Homefront 2 than they are on their main series, Crysis. And I just don't know how to feel about this. There are the bow aspect is pretty interesting, but you run out of bows fairly quickly that can really do anything. Unless your enemy's standing in water, the electric bows don't really do anything. The explosive bows are awesome, but I don't know. It's not enough to refresh the experience. Maybe if the bow had more ammo and you didn't have to use it so sparsely and it was like the bow was the main weapon, it would be a lot more interesting. However, this game you don't have to be as stealthy. Despite the artificial intelligence in the soldiers being far more enhanced than it was in Crysis 2, and what I mean by that is that on normal difficulty, or I forget what they call it, I can't remember the name of it, soldier or something like that, it's on the same level as the hardest difficulty in Crysis 2. On Crysis 3, on normal, the AI for the soldiers is like on Crysis 2's hardest difficulty. Unfortunately, that doesn't matter too much because unlike Crysis 2, which threw 20, 30, 40 soldiers at you at once, Crysis 3 throws like 5, 6, 7, 8, and you just take out your bow, go into stealth mode, and take them out. And the aliens are extremely neutered. When you saw an alien in Crysis 2, it was a big deal because you knew you were going to waste like 2 clips on him and you had to run around and dodge and all that. In this game, the aliens don't have guns. They just have like these scythe things at the end of their arms that they attack you with, and they can knock you over. And if they knock you over, it's no big deal because then they just stand there looking like idiots for 2 minutes while you get back up, and then you could just punch them to death. Like literally, it's like 3 punches and they're dead. And I don't know, it's just extremely neutered from the previous game. When you saw the alien in Crysis 2, just 1 or 2 aliens, it was scary. In Crysis 3, they throw like 6 or 7 aliens at you, but you could just punch them to death as soon as they get near you. You can let them knock you over, and they're not a big deal. They're just annoying. Like, it takes a couple more hits than usual to kill them than soldiers. So, the aliens suck in this game. They're not really particularly scary or difficult. The soldiers are a lot more difficult, but there are a lot less of them. And the storyline isn't that interesting. I'm sorry, it's not. Like, if you remember Crysis 2, you fall out of an airplane, and then you wake up, and you find this guy dead, and you have to put on the suit, and you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea, just a mysterious voice on a walkie-talkie leading you through all this mayhem, and you don't know what the hell happened in New York City, and you're going and shooting around, and you're scared out of your mind. Your character's pretty much scared out of your mind, and he doesn't talk, so it's just all you experiencing this. In Crysis 3, your guy won't shut the hell up. And it's not like Dead Space 2 where the character's interesting or they made him, they gave some personality to him. It's pretty much the most generic, boring character ever. They turned Prophet into such a boring character. He has this monotone voice, and it's the trope that the conspiracy before everyone else. But that would work more if he was a silent protagonist. But since he's talking all the time and he's like, "I'm telling you, aliens! I'm telling you, aliens, 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 aliens! They're still out there, aliens!" And it's just this complete monotone voice throughout the entirety of it. And like when his new partner has more personality than he ever will, is telling him all this stuff. He just reacts in the most monotone way. Like, there is no difference between when he's excited, surprised, there's no emotions. So Prophet's a completely boring character, and I felt like they did him a disservice by adding a voice to him. He actually would have been better if they just left that alone. But, there's nothing about this game that screams to me get it. And I haven't been able to try the multiplayer since, it's an online pass deal because it's EA. But based off the beta, like, there's not that much difference. I mean, you get bows and alien weapons, and they're cool and all, but they're nothing to brag or write home about. Like, they're just not that interesting. I don't know. This is the most phoned-in sequel I've ever played. If you thought the Call of Duty sequels had very little differences between them, Crysis 2 and 3, like, the differences between them are almost non-existent. Well, I should take that back. Crysis 2 is a good game. Crysis 2 is an excellent game, and I completely recommend it. I can't recommend Crysis 3. I can already tell it's a shorter game because the story progresses so much quickly, and you just go through battles like they're nothing. Like, it's just obviously a much linear game than Crysis 2 was. And that's saying something because Crysis 2 is way more linear than Crysis 1. But Crysis 3 is the most linear, boring, uninteresting game I've played in a long time. There are more differences in the last 2 years of Madden than there are in between Crysis 2 and Crysis 3. It's obviously a just completely phoned-in sequel. I don't know how to describe it any other way, and I can't recommend anyone buying it. It doesn't stand on its own. Like, it relies so much that you've played Crysis 2 and that you're interested in this story. And the story is not particularly interesting. The characters are flat and monotone. The gameplay is not that interesting. I mean, the bow mechanics and all that stuff are kind of interesting, but since it's not, 10, 20, 30 people coming at you like they were in Crysis 2, it's not as action-packed. It's kind of, slow-paced, and you just take out the enemies and move forward. And if you're moderately good at the game, like, battles can take 2 minutes. Like, it's not interesting. I can't recommend it to anyone. It's not even really worth the rent, even if you like the previous games. Like, it's just a complete lack of... They don't care about this. They didn't care when they were making this game. I feel no passion. I feel no... Like, it just feels completely apathetic. A shelled-out sequel just meeting the scheduling times that EA would put out there. And I'm pretty disappointed. I'm surprised that Crytek would make this, to be honest. So I just recommend you not play it. I loved Crysis 2. I thought it was one of the best games that came out that whole year. But Crysis 3 is just plain meh.